Hello everyone and welcome back to Sharp Cuts. My name is Garrett May alongside Josh Nickel. As always, welcome back to the show. Now to clear it up, Josh, we've had some confusion around whether this is Passin Dimes, Sharp Cuts. What's the deal here? Well, it's both, okay? I'm on this one because it's Sharp Cuts. I'm not on the other one because it's Passin Dimes, Josh. I don't know what's so confusing about that.
Yeah, it's the same logo, but we crossed it out and then we wrote in Sharp Cuts. So, how can people not get this?
Yeah, it's absolutely clear. I don't know how anybody could be confused. But if you stumbled across this one looking for Passin Dimes, welcome. 5-star that podcast. Hit us up. We're going to have some fun, trust me. We got two great guests on today, Josh. And we're not interviewing these guys. We're talking volleyball. So hopefully these guys have some good opinions. We've got two guys from the Windsor Lancers volleyball program, and they were self-described and described by their coach as Captain America before and after here in person. We've got Nolan Langley and Pierce Johnson. Welcome to the show, my boys. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Sharp Cut, by the way, not Passin Dimes.
That's right. Get it right. Yeah. And for our listeners, we won't go into detail about who is pre and who is post Captain America. We'll leave that up to your imagination, though, just by the sound of their voice. If you're watching, well, maybe you still don't know. I don't know. Hit us up in the comments below. But welcome to the show, guys. Feel free to jump in with your comments. Speaking of comments, though, Josh, we've got to get through some stuff here because we blew it last week in a few different ways. So we got to maybe revisit some things. Okay, so first up, we got a few things wrong last week, Josh. First thing we got wrong is about the U Sport berths. We absolutely blew that, and we said it was based on medals from the previous year, which at one point it was, so we weren't totally off, but they don't do that anymore. We were absolutely wrong. Commenter Desrockme, I'm sorry, let us know that we were absolutely wrong, and they're happy to tell us how, but they didn't say what we actually do. So can somebody tell me how they actually do it?
I don't know if we should be upset, Garrett. Are we considered the news now that when we're wrong, people reach out? I'm just happy people listen, but we make one mistake and we get 18 comments. I'm getting emails. I'm getting texts being you guys are way off on this.
Well, we better get it right. Do you guys know even how it's done?
Yeah, but every year it changes because what happens is they make a new one to make this person happy that wasn't mad last year.
Stop. And then it's not changing every year.
It changes every year. It changes every year.
This year was different than last year.
Correct.
Then the COVID, the year before COVID, yeah. And then the year before that, it was different than that year.
And then next year is going to be different.
I think they're trying to look for a long term. Yeah.
We don't know how we do it.
After this episode, it's going to be different because I'm about to rip it apart here.
Are you kidding me? Wait, you know how it's done now, Josh?
I know how it's done now. I do not agree with it.
I don't. Can you guys to explain to me and to the listeners how the hell our Canadian university sports system picks who gets to go to the championship?
So I think what caused the wrinkle here is the AUS is no longer a thing on the men's side. So it used to be every conference gets a bid and then the medalist and the host, and the math worked out to 8 and everything was awesome. And then the AUS gets eaten up by the Quebec Loop, and all of a sudden the 1 year I think Pierce is referring to when it was bonkers, they're giving away wild cards where I think Alberta lost in the quarters of Canada West but somehow got to go to nationals. And then people complained about that, Garrett, so then they went, whoa, we can't do that. And then Ontario's getting extra bids, and now apparently medals don't matter and the biggest conferences get the most teams. It's all 6s and 7s right now, Garrett.
Well, what is it right now, guys? You still haven't explained, Josh. You've blown it. No, you lost your chance. You 100% lost your chance. Pierce, tell me, you guys, Nolan, somebody.
This past year that just happened, it was 3 from Can West, 3 from Ontario, the host, and then 1 from out east is how the 8 were made up. So
can we talk about that too? The host they shouldn't just automatically get to play. I'm sorry, Manitoba was not good this year. They weren't good the year they were supposed to host pre-COVID. I get it was Garth last year. It was special. I get that. They shouldn't be allowed to play in the tournament. You should have to earn your spot to the tournament. It's one of those things. It's just bullshit.
That's a full other topic for how it's selected who's the host, because that's a political thing for sure. But let me just, so it's based on the biggest divisions get the most teams?
Correct.
So Ontario is just going to now get 3 berths?
Until they change it, yeah.
So that is so counterintuitive for the simple reason that bigger conference means more division of talent. Smaller conference equals more focusing of talent on less teams. So how does that make sense for determining berths?
I'm glad you brought that up, Garrett, because somebody sent me an email. I'll say Andrew. I won't say his last name in case he doesn't want to be right on the air, but he did some research, Garrett. So this past year, the RCQ finished 3rd. In 19, they finished third. In 15, they had a fourth. In 14, they had a fourth. In 13, a team won. And in 12, they finished second. So he's making a case that the AUS combined with the RCQ should have more teams than Ontario, because look at these results. When's the last time the OUA won a national championship? I don't know, but Laval's won in the last 10 years here, it looks like.
I would highly disagree with that. Not saying that the OUA, I don't think the OUA should have had 3 this year. I mean, you could make a point that they got screwed over by COVID. They weren't able to practice. They weren't able to do a lot. You could see that in the men's and the women's side. I'm not making excuses for it, but that definitely had something to do with it. But when you look at the AUS and the Quebec League, they always have one team that does well. But then if you would have put any other team from that division in that tournament, they would have got destroyed.
Like you.
So you can make it. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, missing a setter, missing a libero. I don't think they lose that quarterfinal if they have their starters.
I also had them winning, going into nationals, winning that quarter.
Well, they didn't, and Ontario went 0-5 in those quarterfinals. So it sounds like I still don't have a clear answer. They just decided based on number of teams, they prorated the number of berths for the nationals. I mean,
which, Garrett, we've talked about, like, sometimes if a team wins a medal, like, that shifts the conference, and that's always not a true case. Like, I like the ideas of medals, but you're right, sometimes it weighs it or it shifts it, so that's not a true representation either. So I think they just went, like, they locked in the size of the draw, which, I don't know, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, if Ontario host, do they now get 4 teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, we would get 4. And then if the host is like MAC, like if the host would be like, say it went the way that the rankings went MAC, U of T, Queens.
Sure,
I believe.
I believe you.
So if it was like that, then if MAC was hosting again, then they would get the host berth, and then they would go 2, 3, 4 are the ones that get the berth to nationals, which is how we got our national berth in our second year. Was because the year previous MAC medaled at nationals, and then it gave us an extra berth to get the second, and MAC was hosting, so they took the host. Because they medaled, we got a second berth at the time, and then we took the bronze medal and got to go to nationals in our second year.
That's an absolute joke. What kind of cookie cutter Mickey Mouse league are we running here in Canada? Like, we just decide this randomly. The 4th place team from a division is going to get just a free ride to nationals. Like, here's how we should do it, Josh. 2 teams from each division. There's 3 divisions, right? 2 teams, 6. The host has to play. I disagree with you, Pierce. The host has to play. You cannot host it at a venue and not have that team play. You're a terrible promoter if you do that. You have to have a home team game.
And NCAA, they're not guaranteed.
And that's ridiculous.
We do it at the Olympics. We do it at a lot of major events where I think if the host is going to pay the money, get the hotel, feed everybody, I agree. I think the selection of who's hosting should matter a little bit more. But I think having the host participate, they do it in the Memorial Cup and the CHL. Like, there's a lot of major tournaments that let the host in for free.
And then the winning conference of last year gets an additional berth. Earn that extra. You keep winning Can West, you get 3 every year. You host, you get 4. Let's go.
I'm on board with that, Garrett. That's actually pretty smart.
That's fair. I like that.
Like, win the gold medal, not second place like Western did in 2014, okay? Nobody cares about those days back in the day, okay? You got to win the thing. So we've solved it here. I'm wiping my hands of this thing. We've solved it here. U Sport, feel free to steal from us. We had other things, though, Josh, that we were wrong about. I know we talked a lot about this topic. I've got more to grill these guys on. But first, I was wrong, Josh, when I said last week that there's not a lot of beach being played in Vancouver right now. And that was a falsehood. That was 100% false. There is a ton of beach being played in Vancouver right now. Tim Stubbs and Lisa Tam both commented and let me know how wrong I was. The misconception is there's a court by my house that nobody's ever at, but it's not the prime courts, Josh. It's not Kits Beach. It's not Spanish Banks, where those things are crowded even in like 10, 11, 12 degrees Celsius weather. So I apologize to the community of Vancouver, and I hope you accept me. And if I ever show face there, nobody listens, so they probably don't care. But I was wrong about that, Josh.
I'm glad how you're handling this. Like, you're showing a lot of class, remorse even. Like, I think
that is very big of you.
It's calm on the surface, but underneath it's just a storm of emotion. So I'm going to segue quickly out of that to avoid further embarrassment. We had another couple of comments that we'll get to in some of the topics we'll talk about later. But the one thing that referee Dimitri commented, thanks Dimitri, we got to have you on the show, man. Pressure's on. Commented, how about the fact that nobody runs the X anymore? Fake shoot and then the left side comes over for a meter, or fake the quick and then P1 comes across for a meter. Dimitri misses those, and I fully agree. So my question to you two is this, plain and simply. Why is Canadian University men's volleyball so damn boring?
That is a great question.
I would say it's like super boring, and then the only thing exciting that's ever happened was Trinity running at 6-2 this year. Everyone was like, oh my god, Trinity's running at 6-2. It's like, well, it's not that abnormal, but it's so boring that that stood out, which is actually crazy. That's something that's pretty normal stood out that much. But so I'm gonna throw a shade here a bit.
Let's go. Or should you save it for Clown of the Week?
No, this is
no, you got more shade to throw. Let's go.
Yeah, I got more. So this is our third year. We're at RMC. Nolan, I'm playing right side this game because our opposite was resting. And it's third set. We're up a bit. And I go to Nolan. I'm like, hey, let's run an X here or something. Let's do something. He goes, no. And I was like, what? He's like, dude, we're up 10. That's so disrespectful. I'm like, all right, fine. Like whatever. Just set me tight, I guess. And he set me over the net, and I somehow hit it into the bottom of the tape because I was just so rattled that this guy didn't want to run an X. And yeah, it was so that shade at me and Nolan there, but
yeah,
We're also saying how high up you were to hit into the bottom of the tape.
No,
I was
on his side
over the net. Yeah. No, we didn't get the point. It was under the net almost.
So hold on.
There's a lot to process here.
Rewind here.
Yeah.
So you say you're up 10 against RMC. You say to your setter, Nolan, he's on the call, by the way. Hey, give me an X. Nolan, you just say no, like that.
I do.
Like kind of a dickish way.
Yeah.
And then proceed to set Pierce, but over the net. So you make a terrible set over the net. Pierce goes over the net.
Purposeful over the net set to hide a little bit of the.
So you set it over the net instead of an X.
Correct.
What the hell are we doing, boys? And you threw it down into the net on theirs. So you were obviously over. Did they call you?
Yeah, we didn't get the point, but it was one of those he tried to give me a warm up bounce set that I just completely just whiffed on. It was it was on me, but this guy just looked at me again and was like, no.
It was like a polite way of disrespecting them,
No.
By
it wasn't.
Making it look like you're giving him a normal ball that he just erases in front of the attack line and everyone can freak out, but it's not as disrespectful to the point that you're beating them down so bad that you run this play that they wouldn't see coming that just ends the game before it is even done.
Is that a common thought, that it's disrespectful to run an X if you're up by more than 7?
With that team, yes.
Playing against RMC because they hadn't gotten a win in 20 years and then they got their biggest season ever with 4 wins.
Yes.
Yeah, we ran X's against RMC. That was the only team we ran X's against. And we should have run more. Is that a common thought, though? Why don't we run more exciting stuff against other teams?
Honestly, I just think that, a lot of the time, as you progress more, the blockers get better, the teams that you're playing get better. So, I would rather, if I want to score a point, I have a better chance separating my right side by running a 30 and giving my attacker a one-on-one block as opposed to trying to set a ball even closer to their middle. They're one of their best blockers on their team and trying to fake them out with something. So
yeah, it feels to me like you're giving the blocking quality a lot too much credit here. The fact, nobody would see it coming because nobody does it. The right side comes around for an X or the left side comes in, sure, run a shoot. The middle's going. Still set the back guy. Run the combo. Still set the guy back. It's the same thing. But is that why it's boring? Because we want to just spread everything and it's just spread. That's all we do?
I think we're just robots at this point. It's just, going into practice and you're getting coached to, like, as setters and as attackers and blockers, like, we're all being taught kind of the same thing, but I don't think anyone's going into their practices at this point and practicing, you know, all of these combinations and stuff like that. It's just like, we need to perfect our 30s, our 50s, our 40s, our right sides, our pipes, our left sides. And we're going to do that, and we're going to run our offense. And then, you know, so I think we're just robots trying to follow a scheme to win a game, as opposed to doing something flashy and stuff like that.
So if you look at it at the international level, everyone in Japan runs it, high school level all the way to pro. And then that's because the Japanese national team, they run that stuff. They run the crazy stuff. It's because they're a little undersized, but it works for them. Our national team doesn't do that. So it's kind of that trickle down of like, well, our national team's not doing it, so our universities guys aren't going to do it, so the high school guys aren't going to do it, so the club guys aren't going to do it, and then no one does it.
That's kind of a fair point you both make, and I'm ready to blame a few different people here based on it. I've been eager, so I blame the coaches. I'm down to blame the coaches with you, Nolan. Like,
okay,
yeah,
let's do it.
All the coaches are like, oh, we got to do what that team does, so this is what we have to do. No, we're not good enough at the 30 now to run this, or you're not good enough at the right side ball. Like, get better at that before we try to run this other thing. So I get that, and it is a good point, Pierce, that like the national team doesn't, like, they spread everything around, right? Like, they don't do a lot of combos, they don't do a lot of interesting things like that. So if you want to like be on that team, you got to be good at get that system. If you're a coach and you want to coach with that program, you got to get on the same page, right? So it kind of trickles down. But at some point, that's got to clash with somebody's desire to be competitive, to be different, and to bring some entertainment value to these matches. Like, but that's not happening anywhere. Like, I don't see anybody, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't see anybody going, forget that noise. Like, let's try to be competitive and try to do something different because we suck at this. Let's do this type thing. You say because it works for Japan. Well, because they're undersized. So they did something different to be competitive. I don't see that at all in Canadian volleyball happening right now. And I really need to get at why. Maybe we're not going to solve it today.
No, the last couple that I've seen, which aren't really that crazy of a combination like an X or anything like that, was, I know that Brock runs like a tandem, and like an inside left side with Logan House.
Yeah.
So I've seen that. I remember that Guelph used to run a fake 30 into a 50 with Ken Kerr when he used to play there. He would set up in the 30 lane, the middle would shift over to go block it, and the setter would just set like a meter ball 50 in front of his face, and Ken would just take it to the cross-court tee. And then I used to run one with John Moat, which was kind of just the opposite. He'd come in on a hard 50 and just jump left, and I'd set him a 40, and the blocker would be jumping to take away the 5, and he's going the opposite way, hitting to 1. But like, those are the last 3 that I've seen, but still nothing like crazy flashy like an X or anything like that. It was just like that small little tweak to get someone more open, as opposed to like...
Right. And those people do that to be competitive, to open up that hitter, right? So if your team 3 through 12 in the OUA, or teams like, I don't know, 5 through 10 in the Can West or whatever, and whatever, 4, 5, 6 in the Eastern Division, like, are you not thinking, we suck, so we need to do something different to free up our hitters to be successful? Like,
Yeah.
are we not
Got
thinking
nothing
that?
to lose. I'm
gonna throw shade at the whole league here.
Let's
So,
go.
Jared, I know you were historically a very confident player. I'm gonna say it like that. You never lost. You never had an issue showing up and just being like, I'm the best. And no one's like that in the UA anymore. Everyone's like, oh, like I'm okay, and they roll up and they play well. But no one's like, yeah, like give me the fucking ball. I'm putting this away. I'm the shit. I am the best player that's ever touched this floor before. And no one wants to do those crazy things because they're like, oh, I'm just gonna play me. Like it's me.
Right. Like there's not the confidence, like the self-confidence to say,
Oh, we've lost it.
Here's where I'm at. I'm not winning. I need to change something to get better. There's this idea that, no, I just need to practice harder, get better at this. Like, there's no maneuvering in our game because of a lack of confidence.
No. There's like a lot of people that you could just like, and there's a lot of guys that were good, but there's some guys you could just like push over with one little comment, and then they were like, And
You
they
could
would ball.
probably crumble half the league with one sentence pregame. And they're done. You win.
They're done.
Wow.
Game over.
So you guys must have done that a lot then.
Oh, I talked a lot. I talked a lot through the net.
No, I mean, you must have crumbled half the league regularly. Like, you guys would have
Yeah.
been in the top 4 every year, I'm assuming, right?
Every single year except for the first one.
Oh.
We don't talk about that.
Oh.
That
Oh,
one
okay.
didn't happen, though.
Okay. Did you guys ever win?
Medal?
I didn't win either. I never won. So I'm not gonna. But I was super confident. You're right, Pierce. But I could never break through and like get my setter to set me more pipes, or to work a push pipe, or to have me hit the C ball in certain rotations, or to, have me come for an inside set, or to run an X. Like, that was beating my head against a brick wall for some unknown reason. Like, even in games where we're winning, like, let's put on a frickin' show, Josh. Is it coaches?
It's got to be coaches. Like, as you mentioned, like, finding creative solutions for different guys to hit the C. Like, I don't know if you guys remember when Max Holt played college. They found a way to get him involved in, like, the whole offense, and he was a big dumb middle, and all of a sudden he's coming out of the back row. Like, yeah, why is it so cookie cutter? We're like, oh, we're just going to play these guys straight up and we're not going to win. It's like, if we're not competitive, we need to get competitive, and let's just find a way to get Max more volume, and all of a sudden our middle's coming out of every lane in the back row.
Yeah, like, absolutely. And the one team I saw it in the U Sport Nationals at the games I watched was the McGill women's team, who, and it wasn't even that special, but their middle, who's their best attacker, was like, in transition, I'm going to hit meter balls. We're just going to do that because we're going to be competitive that way. Nobody else does that. Everybody else in transition, high balls, right side or left side. They're like, no, let's run it out of the middle. If they're only going to put a single block on it, we're just going to go to work. Like,
100%.
That's a competitive move that is exciting to watch because you're like, oh, that's unique. That's different. I want to watch more of this. What's our problem here? How are we going to fix it, boys?
So, question on that. I didn't watch the McGill team. I didn't, maybe a little shade there. I didn't watch the women's nationals. Could she hit a quick ball in transition?
Yeah, she hit quicks in system.
Yeah, in transition though.
Well, like, that's what I'm saying. On a bad pass, when a quick is normally out because it's a bit off,
Yeah.
instead you put it a bit higher and set the meter, and then you have space to work, which is what they did. And she racked up, like, I don't know, probably on the match, probably 6 or 7 additional kills from that situation. Because, like, to me, it seems like swallow your pride. I know you want to, I know it's not conventional. Meter balls, oh, it's what you do at 14U. But swallow your pride. Let's win. Right?
Creativity, confidence is what's lacking to.
And you think
to make
those
that
things
happen.
are close together? Like, they're closely tied. It sounds like you got to have confidence to be
100%.
creative.
Yeah, you're not gonna want to stray off the path if you're not like to be creative if you're not confident enough to leave that path at all. So.
Wow. So how do we instill that in our youth volleyball players, Josh? How do we bridge this gap, buddy?
It's funny as my mind's racing, like, because I think the pendulum's swung too far. Where Glenn Hogue was so inclusive, Garrett, you could email that guy and he would send you anything. Where there's universities who call like their sets black and red because that's what the national team does. Like, they want to run the national team system at their university, but who cares if you're at some OUA school if you're running the national team system versus like, did you win? Did you compete? Did you do creative stuff? Right? Like, I don't know why there's such a copycat of like, oh well, this is the national team system and we want our players to play on the national team. No, we want to win games right now, and we don't have gourd parents, so we're going to run a different offense.
Yeah, like, if you got the best guy, set him high balls and let him go to work. Like, obviously. But if you got a terrible guy, don't set him high balls and don't let him go to work. It seems like we set the most high balls to the worst players. What are we doing?
Seems
Poor
basic, but
decisions.
Like, are you kidding me? Josh, you're telling me you're watching these U Sport Nationals. I mean, congrats to the winners, by the way. I mean, well done. We'll get to that in a second. I want to talk about that later. But, like, you're watching these games. You're telling me we're not setting crappy players just because we have to?
No, like, I keep bringing this up on the show, Gary. We've had some setters like Tom Sawyer and Zane who like to pretend like as a setter they're wizards and they're really playing the game.
Oh, yeah, they do.
You
they
read
love
their
it.
box scores and one guy's getting like 45 attempts and the next guy's getting 7. Like, they're not doing wizardry. Like, whenever Tom was in
that
trouble,
definitely happened.
Kadish was getting the ball. Like,
That definitely happened. The episode after we had Tom on, we looked at the stat line. It was like their 3 outside hitters were like over 40 attempts. The middles were like under 10.
And he's talking overloads and rotations and situations. It's like, no, when you needed a point, Hamish got the ball.
Right side had 53 attempts in the bronze medal match, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, that's hey, if he's the best guy and he's going to get the win, do it. Great.
No, that's fine, but don't lie to my face and be like, oh, you got to create this situation, you got to overload, you got to trick the blockers. It's like, no, just give the guy the ball.
Yeah, I hate that. If it's about tricking the blockers, let's run an X every once in a while. Like, that'll trick the blockers.
You guys want to hear the best stat line of all time? And it's from this guy here. So, OUA quarterfinal at York in our second year. York would commit against John Moat in the middle. They would throw 2 blocks on a perfect pass, and just they'd have 2 up there. So our pin block is empty, right? Look at Nolan sets Moat the first ball of the game, side out, 1 kill. The rest of the game, his stat line was 1, 1, 2. He didn't set Moat 1 ball, and then York still every time jumping with Moat. The pin was empty every time, and Moat was losing his mind. Because, like, Matt, you're middle, right? You're going up there. He's like, up, ball over him. Up, ball over him. And Nolan's like, yeah, I'm just not going to set you. We're not going to win with, like, he's like, you're fine. Go get some blocks.
The game plan was we had our all Canadian middle and our all Canadian left side, our M1 and our P1, and our game plan was set our P2, set our M2.
And it mangled York's mind.
They had no idea what to do. They were like, why is Roland and Mark getting all the sets and Pierce and Moat aren't? This makes no sense.
Who
you
won
won
the
an
game?
OUA playoff game setting Roland?
Who won the game?
Did. We won in 4.
So they won a set. Hold on. They won a set. Double committing with your middle.
I believe so, yeah.
Who got 2 attempts the whole match.
How did they win that set, you guys?
We started
probably.
You know what? I'm not even gonna argue that one. That's
my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a bad example of what we're talking about, because that would be a boring game where the best players are not getting set.
It was fun for me.
It's different, but it was different.
It was different.
You're asking. It was. The whole UA was like after the game, like, what the hell? I'm like, did it work? It worked.
Yeah, if that were me, I would have lost it. I would have lost my mind. I would have been like, I'm better on a double block than that guy is on no block. Set me. But anyway, I'm sure your middle was like that too, because he scored on the first one even though they double committed. So he went 1 for 2 on a double commit.
Yep.
So that's not what I'm talking about. We wanted more excitement there. Get your best players the options. Okay, so let's spread that example out to the world and try to get that happening. All right. That got you guys going, eh? That was all right. Yeah, I like it. Nice. Okay. Well, this is really going to shut you up because we'll see what you have to say about this. So, Josh, we do got to cover a few things that happened because we're not a news show, but stuff is happening. We want to talk about. So, we had some trials happen in Canadian beach volleyball. Did you guys know this, by the way? Did you know we had a national trials for beach volleyball to earn a spot at the World Championships?
I did not know that.
Josh, whose fault is that?
Mine. I'll take responsibility.
Clown of the week right there, everybody. Like, I mean, immediate, just an obvious immediate clown of the week right there for that. But anyways, so we had 2 of them though, for some reason, because this whole system is completely messed up. We had the women's trials to see who gets to earn that chance to go to Worlds. And we had another trials, men and women, to see who gets to go and play in the NORCECA Continental tournaments. So break it down for us, Josh. What the hell happened? Because it sounds like it was a mess up there at Downsview this week.
So as we discussed, Garrett, the men's had their Worlds trials a week before because Megan and Nicole were in Rosarito playing at Elite 16. So we waited until their schedule allowed it. And
Player of the week for that scheduling, by the way. Yeah.
Yes, you got to include the good team. So they battled it out. That was an interesting trials. Megan and Nicole won, so they'll now get to go to NORCECA to fight for a spot to qualify Canada for World Championships through that way. I
watched a bit of the game. They looked to win pretty well.
Yes. Yeah, it was a 3-team tournament. It was kind of weird. They played pool play on the first day against everybody, and then 1 got a bye to the finals, and 2 played 3 in an absolute slugfest.
Okay. Great scheduling. Who made the tournament format?
Volleyball Canada. I didn't. I'm on the men's side. I don't know what happens on the women's side.
Yeah, okay. Great scheduling, poor tournament format. Pool play with 3 teams, and then you go to playoffs from there? What are we talking about?
I was just kind of rooting for a 3-way tie and like some drama, but it didn't happen, so it's okay.
If I were there, I'd be like, I'm going to force a 3-way tie just to be difficult. Like, just to make everybody upset. Okay, so the McNamara twins, who had some good results on the World Tour a couple weeks ago, get that win. So Schachter and Deering, McNamara are going to Norseca to try to win spots in the World Championships. Two great teams, I think, for Canada.
I like our chance.
Do you guys know anything about what we're talking about here?
Like, I know that like all our like main teams, yeah.
Okay.
Not the tournament
Okay.
itself.
Are you guys
Mostly haven't
volleyball
heard
people?
much. I'd like to think so.
Well, we need to get our stuff together here, Josh, because something's happening here where we're not bridging the gap here. Okay?
It's worse than you think, Garrett, because we had some training partners come to practice the other day, and one guy's like formally just played in the OCAA for Durham, and I asked him, I was like, oh, who won CCAA this year? And he goes, I don't know, Humber, and shrugs his shoulders. I was like, no. So people who train volleyball, who follow volleyball, don't even know who won CCAA this year, Garrett.
I mean, I have a volleyball show, and I don't know who won the CCAA this year. Do you even know what the CCAA is?
Do I?
Oh, we do. We coached in that.
Well, yeah, we coached it. We lived it.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk? Okay, this is go a little off topic. Can we talk about how stupid it is that they use that molten ball in Canada?
You're telling me you wouldn't like to spin serve the molten, Pierce? Your game?
It's a joke. It takes the skill out of the game because you can hit the piss out of it, and as long as you don't serve it in the net, it's in the court. There's no skill involved with the ball. I hate that the NCAA uses it. That you should use the Mikasa. It's the international ball, and the molten's a joke.
We're about entertainment. I don't know if you figured that out yet. We're about entertainment. So I want somebody to hit that thing like a rocket and get it inbounds like the NCAA, and they miss 12 serves a set, and it's still entertaining somehow.
Nah, you're an idiot, Josh. That's an absolute.
Fantastic for setting.
No.
Really
See?
nice for setting.
No, that's an absolute. Okay, what's more exciting? Long rallies and not always perfect passes, or ripping aces or missed serves, or tough floats, mixing it up, that sort of thing. What's more exciting?
I'm gonna say X's.
Well, it's absolutely X's. So which ball is going to get us more X's?
Molten.
Not the molten. No, the molten get more X's with the molten.
It's an impossible question, you guys, because with both balls, we're getting no X's. So
That's not the ball's fault though.
Exactly. It's not the ball's fault. So to get back on topic, because it's a great topic, we'll maybe revisit.
It's going to lead to more X's.
We'll maybe get the ball topic later because I think it is a good topic. But we got to finish off this beach thing here, Josh. So we had Norseca trials. Who won? Let's cover who won.
So, Garrett, I'll be clown of the week. That's fine, but I think another clown of the week should be Norseca. So they have a 30-day registration deadline for their own tournaments. We found out the first Norseca was happening in like 2 weeks. So I just want to bring that up that this is how our continental zone works. That it's just absolute madness. So we had to have Volleyball Canada doesn't like to nominate teams to go to tournaments. Garrett, we play for it because then there's no politicking. It's just like you're good enough, you won the tournament, you get to go. So we did an Norseca trials this week. Sam and Dan took it down for the guys, so they'll get nominated for this first set of Norsecas. And Anna and Anna, they were once clowns of the week on the show, Garrett. They redeemed themselves. They won the women's trials, so they'll get nominated to go to the first Norsecas as well.
But did they wear cool jerseys on Friday?
No.
Well, then, I mean, good win, but was it really worth it?
Even I know about that. I'm not a beach guy.
Yeah, exactly. Come on. Get it together.
That's happened.
I will say, what a weird time in Canadian volleyball for the team who wins the trial to potentially go to the World Championships, would be the only men's team to go to the World Championships, also is eligible to compete in the Norseca trial, which is the tournament to go and play in Norsecas. So they don't have enough points to eliminate them from that trial, but they have enough to qualify for the World Championships.
Somehow it comes down to coaching. I feel like it's the coach's fault.
It's obviously your fault. So if you're the coach, then yes, obviously. So I don't know what you're thinking, but you need to figure that out. So I mean, congrats to those teams. Well done on the beach trial. So those teams are headed to a couple of beach events, Josh. And I honestly, I can't follow this thing. So these guys are forgiven for not knowing this beach stuff we're talking about because I can't follow this stuff. I go on the site, I try to see who's in the main draw, who's in the qualifier. Can't figure it out. I'm trying to see who's in the tournament. Who do I know? Okay, I see a list of teams who's in the tournament. Is that that's what we should go off of here?
Dude, you're using the wrong site. You have to go to FIVB.12NDR.AT. Stop using the FIVB website. It doesn't work.
I'm going there right now.
Go to this random Austrian site who, I don't know who built this.
Give the URL again.
FIVB.12 12, the actual numbers, so 12, and then NDR, I don't know what that stands for, .at. FIVB.12NDR.at.
Is it on the dark web? I can't reach the site.
It does not look like a legitimate website, but man, does it make it super easy to navigate every tournament going on.
FIVB.12.NDR.at.
No, don't add a dot after 12, Garrett. You just type it in as I say. FIVB.12NDR. Dimitri's probably losing his mind yelling at his phone right now.
Well, shut up, Dimitri.
FIVB.12NDR.at. And I think Sarah Pavin told us AT is Austrian.
Uses cookies. I should be nervous for this site here.
It's safe. Yeah, whatever it asks you to do, give full consent.
This is fully a dark web website, and I'm not donating to this site. Although we should maybe say donate to the site because it's actually a super huge help for.
But see how
I'm not going to do it, but
yeah, I'm not going to do it, but you should do it.
Yeah,
that to me is the motto of the volleyball community, where we need more money in our sport, but I'm not going to pay for the live stream. You guys pay for the live stream and then give me your password, where I'm not going to use my money.
And I am the card-carrying member of that club, Josh. That is me 100%. I'm not paying for this
I'd like
crap.
to watch, but I'm not going to pay.
We need to do a full
but not
episode
my
on this
money.
site because this site is unreadable. So it's impossible. I don't know how to navigate this thing. It's got all... Anyways, we have teams in the next few tournaments.
Is that... We wasted all that time for you to say that?
We didn't waste time. People are going to that site right now and seeing what I'm talking about. Or they're doing their laundry. I mean, it's... No, can't be sure. So there's a tournament coming up. It's the same day. Why would they put the challenge tournament in Itapema? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yep.
Brazil.
Brazil. Yep.
Challenge tournament. We got a few teams in. And the same weekend, we've got a future tournament in
Yes.
Songkhla, Thailand.
Thailand, yeah.
Why are we putting them on the same day?
Because there's a lot of good teams in the world who need to play. So Jake and Russ are going to Thailand, and looks like Sophie and Brandy are going to Itapema.
Well, we got more teams on the list than that, Josh. You going to shout them out or are we going to ignore them? Do they deserve it?
Well, I'm trying to think. We don't have a men's team going to Brazil, do we?
We
I guess I
do.
can play. Chris, you want to go play?
oh, absolutely.
I mean, McNeil Russell are on the list. Saxon O'Gorman are on the list. Facto Bhutan Kopp are on the list.
Are they in the event?
So how do we know? Josh, what the hell, dude? We can't confirm or deny who's going. You're the coach.
No, I'm looking at the main draw. We don't have a team in the main draw. I don't think Ben and Grant are going to Itapema, are they?
They're on the list. What are we
think
doing
you're-
here in our sport, you guys? This is
I
a
think your
joke.
records are off.
I'm looking at the thing right now.
On 12 NDR thing?
Oh, see,
No, you're not.
What's
You're
more
not.
correct? Is that the source of truth? The
Yes.
dark website, or is it the FIVB's site?
You know what? This is going to be a perfect follow-up for Garrett was right, Josh was wrong. Josh is going to be right next week when we follow up on this.
Well, you're the coach, so you should be right. If you're wrong, you're fired.
I don't coach Ben and Grant.
Okay, fine. All right, well, let's move on. So for our listeners, there's some teams and some tournament stuff coming next week. We'll know more after that tournament finishes because apparently we can't figure out what's going to happen coming up to the tournament. So
We started
gotta work
off
on
so
that.
well. Now this episode is just crashing and burning. Where
What
are
are you
steering
talking
us
about?
right
This
now?
is gold. Subscribe, hit that 5-star on the podcast.
Hey, check out this week's episode of Sharp Cuts where Josh and Garrett go on the internet and just click on stuff.
I mean, that's quality content right there. What are you talking about, Josh? You're
Josh and
chirping it.
Garrett visit the dark web.
Yeah, Garrett visits the dark web and gets a bunch of viruses on his computer. I'm surprised the stream is still going. So, okay. Moving on to something we got to get to before this call ends is everybody's favorite segments. It's Players and Clowns of the Week. I mean, we got to get to it. I don't know if people are surprised yet, especially if they listen to the show. These guys said they were listeners, but to Passin Dimes. So I'm not sure how ready they are for this, but we'll see how it happens. So we just each go through and give a player of the week and then a clown of the week who we want to call out for doing something really great this week and then something really terrible. So who wants to start? Who's ready to go? Who's got a great player of the week? Don't put your hand up like we're in school, Josh. Okay,
this
go
is my
first.
show. I should get to go first, or I want to go first?
I mean, it is your show. Go ahead.
Garrett, I technically didn't know where the week started and ended because we missed a week of recording there. Congratulations on your new home. You and Maria must be real happy. You guys are big shooters now in Vancouver. Congratulations. Yeah. I'm going to go with Savannah Purdy from the Trinity Western Women. They took down the national championship. She had a big weekend, so going with Savannah, Trinity Western Women. Garrett, they beat Mount Royal in the finals. That was your pick, so that was a good segment for Garrett was right. You picked Trinity. They got the job done. Savannah, big numbers.
And I'm glad you ignored the men's side completely because, I mean, as you should. It sounds like from everything we've learned on the show, we absolutely should do that.
Well, I know somebody else on the show is going to shout out Jordan Canham. I didn't want to double up on Player of the Week, so.
Okay, well, we may already do that, so we'll see what happens. So should I go so that if anybody doubles up on me that I'm in the clear? I think I'm going to do that.
Yeah, there.
I'm absolutely going to do that. So I have 2 players of the week this week, Josh, and I feel like you have to the week after the U Sport Nationals finish up. And I mean, if you're going to talk player of the week, you got to talk the MVPs of those tournaments. Like, how are you not going to shout them out as player of the week? We're celebrating the best here. Like, that's what I'm about anyway. So surprised you didn't go with Avery Heppel from Trinity Western, who was the MVP of the tournament. So interesting pick there
this stuff.
by you. So I'll pick her as my player of the week. I mean, Trinity, I watched that game. I'm hoping to talk about it a little bit later as well. That was an exciting final. I was into that final, so I'm hoping to chat more about that later, but she's my pick for player of the week. On the men's side, Jordan Canham from Alberta. I mean, you get the MVP, you win the Nationals, you beat my pick in the final to win from Alberta. I mean, Jordan, congrats. Player of the week. Congrats to our national championship MVPs for players of the week. So who did I double up there? Who also picked either of those 2? Nobody.
Nope.
I mean, player of the week to us, guys. Okay, who's ready to go? Pierce, Nolan, who's up?
I've got mine.
All right, no, you go.
Okay, well,
that was so Canadian, by the way. No, I got it. No, you go. Okay.
Mine is actually kind of funny because we talked about him a little bit earlier in this, and you guys were kind of making fun of him for setting distribution a little bit. Mine is actually Tom Sora.
2-time player of the week, Garrett. He's been named a couple times now.
That can't be right.
Have sit on the bench for some development years, going out to Calgary, and then getting your first chance to play at nationals, and with not as much actual court time as some of the other guys and setters get, to come into a lower seed, play like the number 2 seed at nationals, and then come in and have the kind of game that he did in that quarters. And I actually went and looked at all of his stats, and he played well in all 3 games. But that quarterfinal, playing against the higher seed, better setting distribution than McMaster. Everybody got their attempts, went to the hot hand when he needed to, but both middles were sitting at like 11 attempts, M1 and M2, 11 attempts each, 36 total assists, 7 digs. Had some good force middles in there as well. I actually watched that game pretty closely.
Okay,
so.
You're going on a bit about Tom. Okay, I get it. He had a good week, but like, geez, was it that good?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I have his number. Don't worry.
Okay, well, you better text him and tell him, hey, listen to this episode of Sharp Cuts because I was talking you up big time. So, I mean, congrats, Tom, for Player of the Week for the 2nd time. Like, I mean, are we keeping score on this thing, Josh? I mean, like... Is he paying people to give him Player of the Week at this point? We maybe need to investigate that. But, I mean, bronze medal at the Nationals is pretty good. And you had a great explanation, Nolan. So
Fourth. Sherbrooke won bronze.
Wait, so they didn't even get bronze?
Nope.
No, after Nolan's long explanation, he didn't actually get to it. They finished 4th.
So, sorry, I just assumed by that explanation that they won the bronze.
Good performance. Put up a good performance.
Great performance and a couple of losses. I mean, Tom, Player of the Week. I mean, hey, respect. Okay, Pierce, over to you.
I'm going setter too, but the national championship team. I'm going Elgert. I think he had a really good club career, and then went into a Alberta team that was ran by Walsh when he was in his first year, and kind of went under the radar, and then kind of came back and surprised some people.
Yeah, well, I mean, with a national championship win, I mean, yeah, look at all of us. Just spread it out. As if I'm the only one who picked the MVPs and you guys went off the board and really found people. I mean, you guys thought it out.
I thought that was a kind of a basic answer. So that's why I didn't go with it. But
yeah, no, I get that. And,
hey, he was the MVP, right? Like,
Yeah,
It's been sad.
I'm glad somebody said. So congrats to our players of the week. Some of them were medalists, some of them were not. Most of them were medalists.
Yeah, just one.
Just one was not. But let's
Can we
move
just
on
segue
now.
quickly? That was not an upset. I don't care what the ranking said. Calgary beating McMaster was not an upset. And anyone
No,
who
I
watched
had-
that game, like,
I had them winning that game.
Yeah, it was an
I
upset.
also-
another
them winning
example
that
of
game.
U Sports doesn't know what they're doing, because though the rankings were off, yeah, I get the rankings that you can't rank Ontario 1 below CanWest 3, but anyone who was going to do a bracket, pick that game.
Did you do a bracket, Josh? How'd your bracket turn out?
Well, yeah, I was keeping score by myself. I will say that, Garrett, I got a lot of props from our listeners that my pick actually won the men's side, but let's be honest, I only picked Alberta because you went first and you took Trinity. I thought Trinity was a lock.
Sorry.
So,
Sean
also, you-
picked Alberta.
No.
Yes.
Listen back, Garrett.
You both picked Alberta and I picked Trinity?
I don't
Man.
actually remember. I just know you took Trinity and that's who I wanted.
Can West 3 actually can be higher than Ontario 1.
Okay, that would be bonkers, though.
It would be, but it happened in our when we were at Nationals. It was Trinity, Alberta, UBC.
BC.
1,
Okay.
2, 3.
It sounds like just a collective clown of the week is U Sports Volleyball. I mean, they're never going to hire
hold
us
on,
anyway.
Yeah.
They had a commentary crew on both the Nationals. Nobody gave Sharp Cuts a call, Josh. Were you offended?
A little bit. I thought Jared Brown did a really good job, but the other people I didn't really care for.
I thought they did a good job, but compared to what we would have done, I think it was a terrible job. You know what I mean? Like, we're the top talent, I got to assume.
At least it wasn't the Brock commentators.
Stop it. I love those Brock commentators.
Oh, man.
They're terrible,
they're,
but they love it.
oh, dude, they love it, but they're so bad.
They're bad, but in
having
a
a
good
great
way.
time.
You know, like they have no idea what they're talking about, but they're loving it. It's almost funny.
I would stay up to watch the Windsor guys play them. It would be like 3 a.m. in Estonia. I'm watching this game, and I have to mute it. I'm like just chilling in my room at 3 a.m. listening to music, watching the game, because I'm like, I'm going to die listening to this.
Okay, so you don't find that funny. I find that funny because I'm into the excitement. So I guess clown of the week for you, one of them anyway, is to the Brock announcers. So some shade there to those guys. But let's get to our actual clowns of the week. I'm ready to throw some shade, but mine's pretty lame this week too because we've already talked about it a little bit. So maybe I'll just go first because mine stinks.
Sure.
Yeah, my clown of the week is Norsika. And you already mentioned it, Josh, for 2 reasons. For the just crazy tournament format and poor scheduling. Like 2 weeks ahead of the time when you have a 30-day... so basically you're running a tournament that nobody can actually register for because they're breaking their own rules. What the heck is that? And 2, trying to navigate and find what the heck is going on with any of those tournaments is even worse than on the World Tour site. Nothing is updated. Nothing is there. They basically don't want anybody to know what they're doing down there, even if there's somebody actively looking for information like I was. Clown of the week to Norsika. You got to take it.
I feel you, Garrett. Mine is actually just going to be the FIB Futures events, Garrett, because I don't know if you noticed, Jake McNeil and Alex Russell, they won a medal. They won a silver medal, and they're holding up the check, Garrett. And the check said $700 on it. Like, this is not professional volleyball. That is pay to play because they had to fly to Australia to play in this tournament to win $700.
Sorry, back up. They played in a Futures tournament recently, and we didn't talk about it.
That's because you don't check the site. I'm telling you. Yes, silver medal is podium for our men here.
I was looking for tournaments, and I didn't find that tournament.
That's why you got to follow Passin Dimes on Instagram to get all your news.
Well, I obviously do that. But yeah, okay. So congrats on the silver medal,
Congrats,
by the way,
Jake and
boys.
Russ, first FIB medal. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, like congrats, amazing. But they went to a tournament and they won $700 for second.
Yeah, not each. That's what was the team. $350.
They got to
each,
split
so,
that. $350 US each.
Yeah. To go
That's
to
not
Australia.
paying your way.
No. I don't know too many Australia plane tickets for $350.
So
And
you
they're out
made
of
the
pocket.
final, and you're losing money.
Yes. If they would have won, they would have split 1,000 US.
What an absolute joke. You win the tournament, you lose money. You got to pay to win the tournament.
So now the joke was there's people who play Clivers who are actually more professional than our beach national team because Johnny Wiscar is way more just playing at Kitts Beach than Jake McNeil has like traveling the world. That guy's got it all figured out.
Well, it sounds like I got to get into this Cliver scene then and try to make some money. I'd be making more than Jake and Alex, and I'll be telling them, hey, I make more money than you guys. Suck it. So I'm ready. A couple of big clowns of the week to administrations. Big administrations, Josh. You and me taking big shots at people who we want to like us.
If they hire us, I'll do a total 180 on my opinion.
Okay, over to you guys. Who's up first? Clown of the week. Ready to throw some shade.
Keep it in order. No, you go.
Okay, I am doubling down. And the clown of the week is also Tom Sora.
Oh, what the heck, man? Come on.
I am giving him a clown of the week for the buzz cut, the Nationals buzz cut. Not a fan of the national dyeing the hair, the national mullets, the buzz cut. You got to look good when you go perform, you know?
Wow.
So I'm giving him a double whammy.
So just set him up with the player of the week. How great did you do? And then tearing him down with a bad look.
He'll be happy for a good 10 minutes after listening to the beginning of that. And then he'll get to this section there.
Like you're hitting on a girl in a bar, bro. It's the backhanded compliment. Just
Is that a first for the show, Josh? A double by the same person? Because you and I have split before.
Yes, that has happened, but not by the same person.
Same person. You knew that would be a first, Nolan, and you just went for it to make history, didn't you?
No, but I'm glad that I can be a part of history on this
Or
podcast.
it sounds like Tom Sora is the only volleyball person you know.
Don't call me out like that.
He's player of the week and clown of the week. It's the only volleyball name out there. Okay, well, I mean, Tom, take it. Like, sharp cuts giveth, and it taketh away. So, feel it. Okay, over to Pierce to close it out with clown of the week.
so I kind of want to change by now. I went Elgert too.
Oh, my God!
Okay, justify this one. You can't justify this one.
Oh, I can. Did you follow Brock on Instagram? Did you not see his
You
story of
nodding,
Elgert
Josh?
trying-
I don't.
Did you not see this video of him trying to pop the champagne bottle?
No, I missed.
He was like trying to
Post-win?
spray this bottle for a full minute, could not get this thing. Everyone's dying around him trying to help him, but he couldn't pop the bottle open.
That is a bit clownish.
So, I was
So, how
like,
long, though? Like, we need the time here.
It's close to a minute. And if you think about it, like 60 seconds of watching someone try to like pop champagne, it doesn't take that long.
No, like, you see people do it with knives in one swipe.
Yeah, it was long enough where I was like, yo, man.
Justified.
My goodness. So is Elgert the only volleyball guy that you know? Because it sounds like as well. Like, do you guys only know two people?
No, I wanted to go other ones, but I was like, that was the one, and I didn't know Nolan was going to double up
Wow.
like that.
So what is the problem with volleyball players who we play well, we earn player of the week, and then we blow it by having bad swag or unable to open wine bottles? Like, what are we doing here in our sport?
I always tell the younger kids that I'm coaching that volleyball is 20% skill and 80% looking the part. So you got to look the part.
You know what? If that's the trend in coaching in Canada, I'm not going to be upset about it.
How do you feel about ankle socks, Nolan? How do you feel about looking the part? What are we thinking on
Bad.
the ankles? Yeah.
Clown of the week. Clown of the week if you're wearing
Ankle socks with no ankle guards is just too much leg.
You're a permanent clown if you do that. There's no coming back.
I mean, there's a lot of people who do that.
No redemption.
It's a terrible look. No knee pads
is.
and high shorts. Just so much leg.
Too much skin. Too much skin.
I fully agree. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we've ticked all the boxes. So let's get back into some of this indoor stuff we wanted to talk about. And my probing question is going to be, I watched the women's final for the U Sports and I was into it, Josh. It was probably the one match of volleyball that I've watched in the last several weeks, which has been the most I have in the last 2 years. So total of 4 matches or 5 matches or something. But I was into it. It was exciting. It was entertaining. It was like, it wasn't necessarily the best volleyball, but there are a few things about it that I'm really curious why the hell we don't bring more of. One of the teams, I'm trying to forget which it was, but both were going crazy after they scored points, like every time. But one of the teams was going way crazier than the other after winning a point. They like run around the court and just like, but every time going crazy. And it was like exciting to see how excited they were. I'm curious why do we in the guys' side, you see guys come down from a kill or something, like pretend like it's not that big a deal. Why are we so afraid to like just have a lot of fun with it and go bananas, especially when we're in big matches? Or maybe we don't.
I think you just missed it. Like when Budo University used to come to the York tournament, they used to do that and run around in circles and stuff. And then I don't know if you remember Pac-Man.
What do you mean I just
volleyball.
missed it? I was at two Excalibur tournaments where they were there.
No, you saw Budo do it. You didn't see Pac-Man do it, and they're running around the halls of Rim Park yelling Budo when it's like Sean Lassila and Danny Lee and a bunch of guys who are not Budo and who are just a bunch of copycats.
They're on the court and then they leave the gym after a point?
No, like when they're running or warming up in the hallways or they're doing stuff, like they're just yelling it. And it was like, it got pretty obnoxious, I'll say, Garrett. So I wasn't a fan of it. So
Whoa.
therefore...
You're saying Pac-Man got obnoxious?
I mean...
No.
Yeah, like that is obnoxious. You're in the hallway. Like, get out of the way. I'm not watching volleyball right now. I'm walking through the hall. Get out of my way and stop yelling Budo. But
I think the weird sellies, it has a sour taste in my mouth where I just don't like that.
Well, we got to get that out of your mouth, Josh, because you're an old curmudgeon here. We need to have some fun out there, some excitement. You watch the NBA players doing all these celebrations. I mean, they don't go crazy, but they got the different things, and it's interesting. You like that league, don't you?
When I picture the NBA, I don't picture 5 dudes running around in a circle choreographed, but also looking random at the same time like Budo was doing.
No, but you got like guys doing like the eating out the bowl and like guys holding each other back on the bench. Like you get all sorts of stuff. What are you talking about?
If you want that, Gary, you know what league you should watch? The OCAA. That's where that stuff belongs.
Yeah, I want that, but with good volleyball. How do we get that? Because good players are way too focused. What's that?
That's what we call beer league.
I mean, well, but I'm telling you, in the women's final compared to the men's final was intense. I'm not trying to say it was like a bad match, but the women's final compared to the men's final was way more energized, way more exciting. It looked like both teams were so into it, wanted the win desperately, and every time they scored a point, it was like they'd worked hard for it and they felt like they deserved it. How do we get there?
Well, I think that one takeaway, like on the negative side, is that you're just like exerting so much energy into your celebration when you're playing a finals match, and you know, like if you score, like you're scoring a point, you know, every time the ball is getting served, there's a point going. So if you're sitting there like screaming and jumping and running around the court nonstop the whole time, then you know you can risk tiring yourself out faster. So
yeah, I fully agree. But like we already talked about in this episode, how our style of volleyball is pretty boring. Yeah, and so if we're just going to be setting high balls, hitting high, hard, and deep off high balls, scoring, and then not celebrating, well, we shouldn't be surprised that nobody wants to like go into an arena to watch volleyball. It's boring as hell.
I think there's just there's a line that has to be drawn where you can do your celebration and you can make it fun, but there's like a line of, you know, running around the court and stuff like that. You know, what is it? China that does that? They do their little like they go outside the court, do their full lap at international play. I think it's China that does it.
Japan does it too, and Budo University, as we've talked about. Yeah, like teams do it. That's fun. Like as a spectator, like it's kind of entertaining to watch a little bit. I feel like that's what I'm all about now is entertainment. I don't care about being good. I mean, unless I'm playing.
One thing I have is like in U Sports, your benches can't celebrate. The down ref just they want to be seen. So they're no, like, get back. You have to be behind this imaginary line. NCAA guys are running out on the court after a point doing sellies. I love that. I'd much rather watch an NCAA game than a U Sports game for that reason. And if you go watch, Trinity went there. They played games there. I was watching those games. The Trinity bench was doing the same thing that the American teams are doing, but they come back to Canada and they're not allowed to do it.
Okay, that is a new point to Sharp Cuts, Josh. We have never once thought about this. Like actual procedural rule changes in our sport domestically to allow for more fun, entertaining style.
For sure.
Sounds like that's an easy rule. to change.
Well, I always told the down refs when they would give our bench like the tweet, it's like if we shank a pass or a dig into our own bench and our players collide, that's our fault. I don't think it's a problem that they have to like get back. They're in the way of our own team. It's not like you're interfering with the game. So like if we run into each other, that's comical and that's on us. Like why does the down ref so like focused on our bench squad?
Yeah, like I fully agree. Like, but they feel like they have to for whatever reason. Like, what if the rule is instead you have to be behind that line because safety, whatever, but only between whistles? Who cares what happens outside of the whistles?
Yeah.
Right? Why do you care? The play's over.
Yeah, then go crazy. Let them
go crazy.
Do
Run right onto the middle of the court. Have the coach right up in there. Have a full team hug after every single point, but you got to run back to the bench before the whistle blows because then it's maybe a card or a point or something like that. Out of rotation. That would be amazing.
Yeah, the women's NCAA teams, the girls like sprint to the sideline and like cheer everybody on, like running to the sideline and stuff like that. They come all the way out.
Like when they score, they go and give their full, like in hockey, when you score a goal, the guys skate by their whole bench. No, if you get a kill, bench, you run by your whole bench and give them high fives. Yeah, like the bench will come all the way out. Like I used to go, because we were so close to the border, and my friend Kiara Shannon played at Michigan. We went over a couple times and watched them play at Michigan, and the girls were, they'd score a point and then they would flood the sideline, like the bench would flood the sideline of the court and make it fun and more enjoyable. But was it hype? Did it work? Was it effective?
Oh, 100%. But like to answer your question, like that can be a way that maybe the people on the floor don't need to exert that energy, but it can still entertain the crowd. You just let the bench do it. Like, they're not on the court at the time. Like they're not the ones that need to save their energy. So let them be the ones that fire up the fans and make it more entertaining, where you just don't allow it to happen here.
I love it. Like, if we want to get people to pay to watch volleyball, are people paying to watch a bunch of people with stoic emotions and totally focused and like determined? Like, is that what we want? Do we want to be curling? Like,
no, that combined with another middle quick to 5, I can't stand it, Garrett. I can't stand it.
A middle quick to 5 where the guy comes
followed
down.
By a stoic celebration.
Yeah, I do this all the time. Get out of here.
Yeah,
like,
no place for that in our sport.
Yeah, I can only see that so many times before I'm going to lose my mind. And I'm getting close. Okay, so I'm hyped about that. So how do we push for that, Josh? Like, we got to get the rule. We got to get a ref on the show and really just grill him about that and say, hey, how do we push for these rule changes? Because it sounds like everybody would benefit from our games being more exciting because you sell more tickets. I don't know about Windsor, but at Western, your funding model was based on how many tickets you sold and how many people came to watch your games. So the football team, for whatever reason, sold way more tickets. Everybody's out there having a great time, and not as many people came to our games, so we didn't get as much funding. So, I mean, it's in everybody's best interest to be entertaining, to get more funding. Don't we always say we want more money?
That might be, though, because like Western hasn't won a quarterfinal in like 8 years. So that might be part of it.
In volleyball.
Yeah, in volleyball, that's like it's tough to sell tickets to a team that's not winning.
Well, hey, when we were winning quarterfinals, we weren't getting money either. But I mean, it's tough to recover when a generational talent leaves your school. So I mean, I understand how that goes. That can be tough to recover from. But I mean, I don't want to say, it's not like I was pushing the needle on tickets because I was boring to watch. I was probably the most boring. I did the same thing every time.
Oh, almost had him.
Same celebration every time. Like fist pump, basically. I didn't change it up because like I fell into the same trap that we mentioned earlier. Like you got to stay focused and you don't want to waste energy. But it was like, I'm thinking that was so stupid. In the games we were going to win anyway, and the games we were going to lose anyway, like at least have fun. Like why not?
Fair.
No?
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Fair? We just agree? Great.
I mean,
let's do it then.
Yeah, you just gotta find a way to have fun. I don't know why you wouldn't be playing if you're not having fun,
Well, it looks like a lot of people out there aren't having fun.
That's true. I had a grand old time on the court when I played.
You did? What was your best celly?
I was always having fun.
What was your best celly?
My best celly? I would tattoo.
You got a tattoo?
Celebration. No, my most like arrogant Sally that made it look like I was having the most fun that Pierce's mom caught on camera a couple of times was me like winning a joust and then just coming down, sticking my tongue out and smiling.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate you if I was the other guy, but at the same time, if I'm in the crowd, I'm immediately interested. I want to see that guy come back and win a joust again. Like, I want the ref. If that happens, we should just have the ref blow the whistle, come out and do another joust. Like, toss it up and have a joust off.
Will you just do this again?
Yeah, like let's repeat that. Let's just do that again and see what happens. Like, that would be fun. We'll never do that. I need that in my life. All right, guys. Well, it sounds like that. Sorry?
No, I was gonna. There needs to be like those special points, like they have in the Indian League, where they throw up like the super paddle or the super point
like
paddle.
A 2-pointer.
We need that. It's like, you know, joust point now. All right, 2 best jousters going up for this 2-pointer.
Okay, everybody break short court to 1. 1 point of short court for something. That would be
no
intense.
More fifth sets. No more fifth sets. 1-on-1.
It's just 1-on-1 short court. Oh my God. That would be amazing. I'd be wishing it goes to 5 every time.
Remember the one year that we went out to Mount Royal or Sask for our preseason, and we were trying to figure out who was going to serve first or something like that, and we played 1-on-1 versus Alberta in a volleys match to see who like got served.
Yeah, it was, but it was going to be the coaches were going to joust to see who served first.
I mean, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
Like, let's get the coaches out there in like a 2-on-2 thing, like the head and the assistant. So you got to have a deep and have like a bit of a short court battle to determine something for the game, maybe just for fun. Like, I'd watch that, because then you get some of these older coaches who are really out of shape. Be like, hey, you want to be a part of this team? I mean, you got to win that. You got to win that short court. Like, we can't lose that every time. Get it together. I'm down. All right, guys. Well, it sounds like we could talk about this forever, so we should maybe have you guys on again, but we are reaching our time, and I have to ask before you go, how'd it go? What'd you guys think?
Loved it. It was awesome.
It was fun.
I love talking volleyball, love throwing shade.
Pierce and I are on the same wavelength, because I was about to say the same thing. So
okay, great. So it must have been good then, Josh, because they both corroborated, and they're not giving us lip service because they're both on the same page, it sounds like. So that's good news. They're not just giving us lip service like some other people have.
I feel like we solved the issues this episode, Garrett. We remodeled the U Sports, how they award the bids for nationals.
I mean, they could take that for free.
How to change the officiating. We're adding joust and coach participation at the start of the match. Like, I think we've solved the issues this time. Usually we just leave it for interpretation by the listener. I mean,
that's never going to happen. But rule changes, let's push for that.
That coach rule also helps me, because then I get to play again. So
absolutely.
Let's go for that. I'm all.
Absolutely. Let's let the coach
lead that.
Like a libero style rule for the coach, so you can sub the coach in at any time.
Down. I'll lead that force.
That would be amazing. Anyway, Josh, if we've solved it, then we should just shut it down, because that's amazing. We never solve anything on this show, so great news. Anything you want to tell the people before they go, Josh? 5-star the podcast. Hit us up on YouTube in the comments section, like some people have already been doing. We'll get to those comments. We'd love to hear that. Hit subscribe.
You know, as good as this episode was, Garrett, the last time we recorded, we said there was going to be a special surprise and a big guest, and then we didn't actually record that week, so we missed an episode. And just so, as good as this one was, Garrett, this wasn't the surprise. We've got some big shooter guests coming.
Do you think anybody was listening, waiting for that surprise?
No, I think they were all on their keyboard being like, "Oh, Garrett and Josh are wrong. Let's
and you're just burying these two by saying they weren't the surprise."
Yeah, do you think anyone's listening to this and thinks that we were the surprise?
Like, yeah, is somebody listened to that last episode and thought, oh, I wonder what's going to happen, and then saw this and is like, what the hell's going on?
Who are these guys?
What's worse?
Just Nolan and Pierce kid.
What's worse? They know it wasn't the surprise, or they thought it was and are disappointed?
No, the second option. The second option is way worse.
What a catfish.
Well, Josh, I'm glad we didn't tell everybody what we're doing, so that we can, when we inevitably underdelivered, everybody can be, maybe it starts some drama. I don't know. Probably not. Everybody forgot, Josh. But all right, way to bring that up right at the end, Josh. For those 2 listeners who listened all the way in, thank you so much. Now they know something's brewing. It's not this. We're hyping it too much now. We got to rein it in, Josh. It was a huge mistake all around. I apologize to everybody, but yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. We got to get out of here before we go on for hours. So thank you guys so much for joining us, Pierce, Nolan. Appreciate you guys' time. It was a blast. Hope to have you back. Thank you all for listening, and we hope to see you next time.